A wise man once said, wise men, I already messed it up. A wise man, many wise people have said, you cannot go 10-7 unless you lose 7 games still in tournament. We've already lost our 7 games. All right. That when you're going 10-7, you're already losing 7 games. So why do we care which 7 you lose? The Super Bowl is back on. The Jets are on the win column. And here we are, man. So besides our obviously heartfelt condolences to Nick Mangold, and by the way, guys, I'm sure if you're watching us, you guys know Matt O'Leary. He has created some Nick Mangold merch. It's pretty cool. The hoodie is pretty cool. I won't lie. The hoodie is just just a cool hoodie that I would wear and probably get regardless. Um, and you could purchase those, and all the proceeds are going to go to a kidney foundation, which is obviously what Mangold was suffering from when he passed away. So I'll drop that in the description at some point while we're chatting it up here. But if you follow Matt on socials, I'm sure he's promoted it on his YouTube channel. Thought that was pretty cool. And it actually is like it was not just like, oh, you're donating. It is something that I would definitely wear for sure. So in addition to that, man, I mean, we're a similar age. So like Mangold was like our coming of years as a Jet fan into the late Mangini, early Rex Ryan years.
Yeah, it was definitely devastating news to get first thing like an hour and a half before kickoff. And I know some people knew earlier in the day. But honestly, like me falling in love with the NFL draft basically started with the 2006 draft where you got Nick Mangold. So I remember watching it in my friend's treehouse. I was like, what were we, like 9, 10, 11 years old. And, you go run up into the treehouse and you watch your pick when your team's on the clock. And you're like, oh, an offensive lineman. Like, that's no fun. Like, you're 9 years old. You don't think anything about it. And it turns out to be Nick Mangold. Like, that's the career. And, you watch that player come into the league and it's just, it's terrible. 41 years old, kidney disease, and like the downturn for him, health wise, it felt like less than 2 weeks ago, he was asking for, he's put on the transplant list, or what it seemed like was going to be the transplant list. And it looked like they had a really good plan on how to attack it and help, get him back to health. And, less than 2 weeks later, he's passed. And it's incredibly sad. 41 years old. I will certainly be purchasing tons of 74 merch from Matt O'Leary. I think that's a great thing that he's doing. Obviously, he's not taking any of the proceeds. They're going straight to the foundation. So I can't say enough good things about Matt O'Leary. And, watching all the videos and all the cut-ups of Nick Mangold, all the funny moments, all the commercials, just him being a dog out there and, being a Jet through and through. And I know that's what the tweet said about an hour ago from the team. And it's just like, he really was. He was just a Jet through and through it. So to like have him be the intro to my NFL draft, life as a young child, it's kind of cool. Obviously you never want to see this happen, but it's a moment that you will always just remember as a fan.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I didn't even know, like, I was just watching the game and I was in like one of my group chats and I'm like complaining about the game, like no one's responding. It's kind of somber. And then I was like, holy shit, like Nick Mangold passed away. And you knew that it was probably pretty dire once he put the public thing out there asking for the organ donation. But thoughts are obviously with his wife and his, I believe, 4 children. So just terrible. But rest in peace, 74 Jets. Olu made the 74 look damn good, but in my opinion, I don't think anybody should wear that number again. I think that one should be retired. I think the Jets could do a little bit of a better job at honoring their former really good players, because we do have a lot of, even though we haven't had a lot of team success, they have had a lot of pretty damn good players over the years. I think we could do a little bit better job of honoring them. Even like when I go to like some Bills games, and it's like their former greats are so much more like involved and respected. I think this could be like a launching point to try and do a little better job.
And twofold, really, because Abdul Salam was number 74.
That's right.
And Connie Carberg, shout out to Connie. We love her, the Jet Scout, the Girl Scout, as she calls herself.
Connie's the best, man.
She's literally the best. Watching her reaction video to the win, her and her son Chris watching the game, and Chris like sneakily recorded her watching that 4th and 9 play. Like it's authenticity at its finest. She oozes green, and like if anybody was to doubt her, like you're barking up the wrong tree.
Connie's great. She's
but
subscribed. Connie checks out the channel quite frequently.
Oh
man.
yeah, we love Connie. But she brought up a tweet from Nick Mangold when he was, mourning the loss of Abdul Salam, and he said from 174 to another. So like now to have another 74 go, it's like you could totally just throw them both in that, nobody should wear 74 category again. And maybe at the end of the season, Olu changes numbers, just out of respect, kind of like how Rodgers, didn't take 12 out of respect for Joe Namath, similar type of thing. Obviously, Joe didn't pass, but like you honor the greats that come before you. You respect that. And I think that's something that should be looked into.
Now that you just mentioned that, like finding out that Rodgers was not taking Joe Namath's number feels like it was like 9 years ago. Like these
we have lived so many lives as Jets fans since that day where worrying about what number he was going to take, it was our biggest concern.
Yeah, Dylan is the younger statesman of the challenge at the ripe age of 30. But yeah, I did those Jet teams were so fun, man. I remember going with my it was freshman year of college, going on the road and following the team to Indianapolis. Going to all those playoff games was super fun. Spending all the money I didn't have. Good times. I hope to get a chance to a playoff game, and those were all on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I've never gotten a chance to go to a home playoff game. I can't even imagine. Like, could you imagine?
No, I can't. Was it 2002 was the last time we had a home playoff game?
Yeah, I think that was when we beat the Colts like 41-0 or something like that. And then I believe they went on the road and lost to Rich Gann and his Raiders. If I am remembering correctly, I think that was the year. And I believe that was the year they went into Lambeau the last week of the season.
Yeah, they put a shellacking on Green Bay.
Yeah, they spanked Brett Favre. So that's what I'm saying. Like the Jets used to be like for a long time, up until I want to say, honestly, up until like 2015, right? Mm-hmm. Now obviously there was a lot of dark years that people were in the chat will remember, of course, but from from Parcells to the first year of bowls, the Jets were an average NFL franchise. They were normal. They were like 500. They were in the playoffs like every other year. They went to 3 AFC conference championships in that span. And now we're trying to get back there. And you'd get back there with one win, Dylan Turman. So what is your did you have any like Nirvana epiphany moments in this game? Was it meaningless? Did we just beat a bad defense, or is it a sign of good things to come? Where are you at with this win?
Well, it certainly isn't meaningless, right? I think we could start with that. I feel like watching the emotions in the locker room, not just obviously surrounding Nick Mangold, but just surrounding the 0-7 start and all the, heat that the head coach has brought upon himself, how much, unnecessary heat the quarterback took from the owner earlier this week. So it was definitely not a meaningless victory. Obviously, so many people are losing their minds on Twitter about, not tanking properly. It's like, guys, if you actually thought we were going to go 0-17, I have a bridge to sell you. But like, this is the NFL and things happen. Now, will I say this is the turning point of the season where all of a sudden, like you said at the intro, 10-7 is back on? No, I don't think so. But this does set you up to potentially be a competitive 500 over the back 9, and you're able to go like 4-5 or 5-4, and you end with 4 or 5 respectable wins on your roster after starting 0-7. Sure. I think the thing that I'm hoping for the most is it's a galvanizing moment for the locker room because of all the comments that Justin Fields took from ownership, all the players rallying around him. You even have guys like Harrison Phillips talking today, or I believe after the game, talking about just how much of a leader Justin Fields is. So it's one of those moments where the team themselves can come together as players and hopefully galvanize as a unit. And that's something that you can bank on, because if you're worried about the locker room and like fracturing the locker room from a coaching perspective, if you're Aaron Glenn, that is a moment that if you lost that game, maybe you can see fracturing happen going into the bye week, and then it's like a fire sale. But now it feels like the team believes more in themselves and their abilities. You coached the hell out of this game. You outcoached Zach Taylor and the Bengals on all three phases. So it's not necessarily going to be the turning point of the season, but it's going to be a moment that you can look back on and say, if this regime turns it around, the Bengals game was probably where it started.
Well, we'll see. Like, now, it's definitely not a meaningless win in the sense of like when they beat the Commanders and Sam Howell when they were already mathematically eliminated by a mile, and it was like the second to last game, and the only thing it did was drop their draft stock. That's not the case. It's not even the bye week. And they beat a 500 football team on the road, and I think when you're looking for wins, like, well, first of all, dude, I thought when they were down 10-0, I'm like, holy shit, like we're really gonna not win a game this year. I was like, okay, they're gonna pack it in after the bye. We're gonna go 0-17. This is like full tank mode.
The T. Higgins touchdown was hurtful.
Yeah, I mean, and I think people are giving Malachi Moore a little bit of a too hard of a time for that one because you got to pick one. Like that crosser was open too. So Joe Flacco had his pick of the litter.
Sometimes it's a good offensive play call compared to the coverage that they're putting
perfect
out.
throw. And a perfect throw. What can you do? I mean, would you rather give up an open 22-yard crosser or to have Joe Flacco put one in a bucket down the field? So tough spot to be in for a couple of rookies. But yeah, man, you want them to win games in ways that raise the stock of the quarterback infrastructure for next year. Right? That's the kind of wins you want. If they beat the Browns like 3-2 or whatever, the Browns get a safety, like a baseball score, and they have 90 yards of passing, and it's just because Dylan Gabriel is the single worst quarterback who's allowed to play games. That won't feel as great, right? But if you put together 500 yards of offense and 39 points, people will say, well, it's a terrible defense. I'm like, okay. And if your offense is having a really good game, what would you do to a terrible defense? You'd have 500 yards of offense, and it's not like they scored 23 points and had 340 yards of offense. That wouldn't be as impressive. They had a historic day. The last time they had 500 yards of offense was Mike White against the Bengals. It's the only 2 times since the year 2000. So really good stuff from the offensive line and offensive coordinator. Obviously Fields, not to diminish him, but I think you really want to see like the O-line and the OC are the 2 most important things you're looking at at the end of the year. But with Fields, I think it's also important that you want him to play well enough to where maybe they could keep him and not have to pay him $10 million to be on a different team and then sign another veteran quarterback. And it's just compounding the dead money stuff that we went through at the last front office. So you want him to play well enough to give the Jets options, because the last 5 weeks, it felt like they had no option. They have to cut him and save the money. You get a couple more games like this. And you're like, okay, maybe we have some options, because he was really good. It's like, man, why didn't he just do this? Like when he just hits his back foot and freaking throws the ball,
it's amazing.
I'm like, he can play. He can play a bit. It's just the inconsistency is so frustrating with him.
Yeah, he's a completely different quarterback when he's playing with confidence, when he doesn't have to see things open. That Tyler Johnson touchdown to get them.
You're gonna be waiting a while if you're waiting to see it open with they played well though. Let's
yeah, for sure. But this was a bad game for anybody who has been, super negative against Tanner Engstrand in the last couple of weeks. And I understand they scored, 9 points and then 6 points as an offense the last 2 weeks. I don't blame Tanner Engstrand for that. I actually do blame the quarterback play for that. Obviously, there were coaching changes and coaching, decisions that I didn't necessarily agree with, but I feel like Tanner Engstrand hit all the right buttons with Justin Fields on Sunday. He was throwing the quick screens. He was throwing the run concepts, and Ben Solak of ESPN did a really good job of breaking this down on their zone reads and their outside runs. They did such a good job of manipulating the backside linebacker, and Justin Fields was able to take advantage at the mesh point and hand it off to Breece Hall and gain good yardage. And then the one time when he kept it, it was the right choice to keep it. And then he had Breece Hall beat Shamar Stewart to the edge because he pinched down too far. So it was actually a really good job of gathering intel by the Jets offense and Engstrand specifically, and obviously all the offensive coaches that go into this. But to identify what the Bengals were doing defensively and attack them, and then do it differently and attack them in a still, even more efficient way in the second half with those run schemes. So Tanner Engstrand just did a great job for me. And I think that's probably the thing that I'm the most excited for. Is I've kind of accepted that this regime is coming back. Obviously, all the reporting and the messaging, and then Woody last week himself saying, basically this is going to be the guys next year. You can hang your hat on a lot of this offensive performance and say, hey, Justin Fields might not be the guy for the future, but if he looks this good in this offense, what does somebody do who plays with timing more consistently and maybe isn't, as mobile? So you take away some of the run game concepts, but you add in even more advanced and nuanced pass concepts with that, So I looked at it like, okay, there could be a rookie quarterback in this offense next year. You add a wide receiver 2, you keep Breece Hall, you already have Mason Taylor and Garrett Wilson. Your offensive line is at least 60, maybe 80% of the way built, and you just have to retain and keep continuity there, and you can actually throw in a rookie quarterback and things might not be the end of the world. You're not doing like the trial by fire and it's Sam Darnold in his first year throwing to like Rashad Matthews or whatever. So I feel like that's the part that I can hang my hat on the most, is that the offensive coaching was really good, and you had 500 yards of offense with a quarterback who was just accused of not being able to complete a pass. So I think it's definitely a good sign for the offensive structure around, the future rookie.
Yeah, and with Fields, like, it does take some pretty significant balls to just be unfazed by Woody's comments. I think Fields,
Calling it outside noise.
Yeah, dude, and it is, because that's the thing, it literally is. He phrased it perfectly.
Yep.
And Fields may not be the most like rally the team type of guy, but he does have like he's got a stoic kind of way about him that I don't think, like, that's not why he struggles. He's not struggling because it's like with Zach Wilson, where it's like, oh my gosh, New York, like the media, it's too much. It doesn't feel. I don't really think that's the case. I just think like his limitations are his limitations. His good games are his good games. His bad games are his bad games. But he kind of has the mental makeup to where he just is out there vibing. He doesn't really care. And obviously, that even though Fields are struggling, Woody, it's dumb to say that. It's dumb to say that because you completely contradicted your coach, who's been going to bat for the QB. You know you're going to have to play him again regardless, because Tyrod gets hurt every 5 seconds. Remember, Tyrod was hurt in training camp. Tyrod can't practice without getting hurt. He is not making it through 6 quarters of football consecutively.
No.
So just forget that. And imagine being like a rookie QB, thinking like you're going to get drafted to the Jets, and like, holy shit, if I struggle, and I know Fields isn't a rookie, but still, you're like, if I struggle for a month, is the owner going to say that I'm balls? Like, you don't, that's just not, it's not cool. But shout out to Fields for stepping up. And with Engstrand, it's encouraging because when you're talking about the last month, when you're like, hey, we should need a QB and a wide receiver 2, and it's all good, it's hard to see that through the fog of when you're scoring like 11 points. But when you have games like this, it's like, okay, yeah, you see it, you want to see it. And it's really encouraging. And I think Tanner Engstrand, more than any other game, made adjustments on the fly. They radically increased play action. They increased the play action or the design QB runs with the power and the counter and the motion to empty and design QB run, which Pittsburgh did a lot. I feel like Tanner Engstrand just went back and watched a couple of Steelers games and was like, F it. Like, what did you guys do? More nakeds, more screens, even some horizontal touches to space the defense. So really good Engstrand game. And then Glenn, with the 2-point conversion, this is like my biggest encouragement on Glenn so far was the 2-point conversion, because I have a buddy of mine who's a Jeff fan. He is a data scientist. He has the nerdiest job you can ever have, and his last name is Glenn, actually, although there is no relation. And I'll always text him, and this has been going on for years. I always text him when the Jets do something that I think is dumb, like situationally. And Hackett was the worst. Every time I'm like, okay, maybe I'm an idiot. I text him and he'd be like, no, this doesn't make any sense what the Jets are doing. And I even go back to, remember when they declined a penalty when they could have it at 3rd and goal from the 6-inch line, and they moved it back like 2nd and goal from the 4, they don't score. And my buddy's like, that doesn't make any sense from a data perspective. In this one, they go for 2, and I text him, I'm like, hey man, explain this to me. And he was like, this is a no-brainer. It's just like, this is exactly what you do, because it gives you the ability to either 1, be default aggressive and go for the win. 2, if you don't get the first 2-point conversion, you're still down by 8. So you're giving yourself 2 chances to get a 2-point conversion, which is a 50-50 chance. So you're really confident you can get at least one of those 2, and at the very worst be tied. And there was still like around 8 minutes left. So you're still putting the 2 field goals to tie. back in play, right? If you shrink it to 6 points. So the nerds fully agreed with it. And I thought that was really encouraging because you feel like with the Jets, it seems like they're just never at an intellectual advantage.
Mm-hmm.
They're coaching. They're for so long. And to see something like that be the reason why they won a game, it was like, holy shit, like let's join the modern NFL. You love to see stuff like that.
Yeah, after what was it, Denver and Carolina, where you have the first half disasters, and it felt like he was going against the grain analytically with every decision in those games, and you come away with a 1-score loss to then flip it on its head night and day, and to make all again, just like Tanner Aintrand, Aaron Glenn pushed all the right analytical decision making buttons in this game. You're down 15, you obviously go for 2 the first time to pull it within 7 and make it 31-24. Then they score again, make it 38-24, and then you go up and get your 6. And then, like you said, you just broke it down. That's the down 8 test, and you got to see if these coaches will pass it. That's the new like analytic trend, and it worked out. And in real time, I'll be honest, I was like, oh no, the way that this game was going, like I would rather just play for the 38-38 and just get us a couple extra minutes at the end of the game to see what would happen, maybe overtime, what have you. But they made the right decision. And you talk about Engstrand going back and watching the Steelers. He went back way deeper in his bag, and he went to the 2022 Detroit Lions on the Y leak that got Brock Wright the touchdown against the Jets. And then on the touchdown before that said 2-point conversion, he goes all the way back to 2024, where Detroit runs the halfback toss pass. I think it was Gibbs to Laporta or David Montgomery to Laporta. Either way, it was a running back to a tight end, same exact thing. It's actually funny watching those. Little sidebar. Those clips of the Lions running those plays much more efficiently than the Jets. They got the ball out faster. Those guys were open quicker in those, but the Jets were running it with like a high school version of talent compared to what those Detroit Lions had. So like I actually love all that, but decision making from the head coach to flip it and go a complete 180 after the last 2 weeks where we're all saying you're in over your head and you don't know how to make situational decisions that are going to be best for your team, to come out and do all of those things and like really shut up a lot of Jets fans, myself included, to say, hey, we have the balls to go do it. We're going to go do it. Whether you agree with it or not, this is what the analytics are telling us, and we're going to stick by it. So I felt like it was less picking and choosing of aggressiveness. Obviously, you can, argue over that first 4th down decision if they should have kicked it. But I feel like for the most part, Aaron Glenn proved that he's willing to learn situationally, like in-game management wise. And luckily, he didn't have to make any personnel decisions in this game, but the situational decisions are what won this game. Like it was coaching at the end of the day, making these decisions and not, necessarily talent on the field.
Yeah, and well, first of all, super chat by Sean. Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about the 4th downs in a second, because it was like at first it was like the sins of Hackett's past in the first half 4th downs, but then they figured it out late. No one is meaningless when you're trying to build a win culture. Also, one with a bunch of rookies in the back and our best players out. Yeah, ironically, the Jets defense was not good at all in this game, but the corners actually weren't bad. Like you think if you give up 40, 38 points that your corners are getting fried, but really the run defense was terrible. The linebackers, man, Sherwood, I was benched, but it seemed like maybe the dog ate my homework kind of thing. Like he slept in for practice or something, because it seemed like a conduct thing, because he was out there like after the first quarter and he was on special teams. So I don't know if Glenn clarified that. He probably wants to keep that in house. And Quincy makes some good plays because he's an athlete. Kiko is so one-dimensional. The linebackers and Cisco are just getting eaten alive. But dude, Stevens is like fucking good. Like Stevens has gone from, oh my God, bad contract, to okay, a little bit of an overpay, but not the end of the world, to worth the money, like unequivocally worth the money. The past
best
4
free
weeks.
agent of the class.
Yeah, and he is, well, all year, even when he's been struggling in coverage, he tackles his ass off. I think he's the highest run defending corner graded by PFF. In the past month, he's at the highest coverage grade too. He's been like one of the best 5 cornerbacks in football the last month. He just has been. I don't know what to tell you. Like, do with that information what you will. And AZ is AZ just passes the sniff test to me, man. I know that the vertical speed is gonna show up like it did sometimes, but AZ Thomas. Do you know when AZ Thomas turns 22 years old? I know you don't, because I just looked it up before the stream because I was curious.
I think it's May.
He doesn't turn 22 until next year's training camp, next July.
Yeah. I knew it was a summer birthday. I knew he was really young.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Membu too, like Mason Taylor's 21. Like, these guys this isn't when you draft, like you drafted Carter Warren or you drafted Will McDonald, who's like 47. But these guys are young. So definitely good showing from the corners. Malachi Moore. I feel like Malachi Moore and AZ Thomas are like, yeah, that's what 3rd and 4th round rookies look like. Like, not, oh my gosh, this is an instant steal. Not, holy shit, this is concerning. Just like, yeah, those are 3rd and 4th round rookies who are kind of showing some potential and also having some learning moments, you know?
Yeah, I know we've talked about it a little bit even before the season started, but there was a likely path where the 2025 draft looked a lot better than the 2024 draft. And I don't want to, label anybody a great pick or a bust just yet, because obviously it's still halfway through their first season. But the early returns on your top 4, kind of 5 picks. I know Arian Smith is, he had his one really good catch on Sunday.
I was so upset that in that buffet, man, my boy was out there starving. I'm like, every time I throw, I'm like, is it him? And it's like, no, Isaiah Williams. Like, is it him? And it's like, no, some guy
Tyler
like
Johnson.
from the CFL that you never heard of. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man?
Dude. And unfortunately, and I loved the one rep that Arian Smith got. He took such advantage of the backside, like the defender's blind side. They were running a cover 3, and they had a comeback route to the left side of the screen. And Arian Smith saw the DB turn his back to him, and he took advantage of that leverage and not having his eyes on the route. And that's when he did his outbreaking comeback cut. And he just took such advantage on that 23-yard gain. So it was so good to see. But it was like, come on, man. Of all the games, like, this was the time for him to shine. But it's fine, Maui Goa, obviously, before the concussion, he was looking better in the last couple of weeks. So, like, your first 4 or 5, we'll say 4.5 draft picks look actually really good from Darren Muji. And then you couple in all the additions right before the season that are kind of like pseudo additions to your draft class, like McNamara, obviously, and Brownlee and Briggs, like all those guys. Like, that's a pretty good haul of young, talented players that actually make me say, go do that one more time at the trade deadline instead of trying to trade away everybody. Go get one more player at the trade deadline that fits that mold of 24-year-old with more years on their deal left, and you can, see if they fit your defense or offense.
People like misunderstand when you say it's not saying you're buying. This isn't renting Devontae
We're not buying
Adams
Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah,
right. If it's a guy who has rookie control, who another team doesn't seem to have a need for, I mean, to me, especially like those trades are such money to me. Now, obviously, you're losing 1 year of the rookie contract control, but if a player has demonstrated that they are an NFL player in any capacity, I would trade a 6th-round pick for them. Like, what? Because most 6th-round picks are not. Like, Jarvis Brownlee Jr. and Juwan Briggs are better than like 85% of 6th-round picks. I would say quite comfortably. So I like those kind of trades, especially when you can dump off guys like Noddy and get the same capital that you move for Briggs. So yeah, I think the young player acquisition's been pretty solid. Barron is the one that's like, damn, because you kind of wasted 2 5th-round picks. I think we'll see. We'll see. Maybe he'll get better. But Elijah Roberts, right there, man. Elijah Roberts could have had JFM 2.0.
That's the edge rusher from SMU, right?
Yeah, we crushed on him pretty hard, but we also crushed on Landon Jackson, who I think sucks. So what do you do?
Landon Jackson never beat the allegations after that viral video of him hitting the bag. Yeah. I know it was years ago, but like, come on, man.
Yeah, he is not dressing.
Dude, could you imagine this defensive line though? Obviously things would have broke differently in the first round, specifically for my guy, but a couple years ago I was on Jared Verse. So if we had Jared Verse and Elijah Roberts, like we're getting home 7 times at the quarterback every game.
Yeah, Jared, man, it's tough. Like Jared Verse or Olu. I'm not upset that we have Olu.
Oh no, absolutely not.
It's just such a it's if you don't have that position, it's makes your life hell on
Of
offense,
course.
you know.
It just sucks
But
seeing Jared Verse like 3 times a game in somebody's backfield wreaking havoc.
oh, dude, he's gonna win. He's gonna win a defensive player of the year eventually. He
He
is,
won defensive rookie of the year already, I believe.
yeah, he's unbelievable. He's
So
unbelievable.
good.
That was just a great draft class. The Jets really couldn't go wrong. Like that's what
Mhm.
you just don't mess it up. I'm glad this year, like they didn't do, like they didn't take God, like Michael Williams or something. I'm like, God, I'm glad we have like just Membu, Warren, whatever, do something normal. They did something normal. But Mason Taylor too, like the I think they nailed the combo of pass catcher and offensive tackle because all the
Mhm.
offensive tackles that went in day 2 kind of sucked. But yeah, that's encouraging stuff from from Muji too, like getting some young guys in here and the free agent class aging a little better. Sherwood, I am getting some Bryce Huff on the Eagles vibes with Sherwood. Like it's just been pretty horrible. So that might just be what it is. I don't know. Are we trading guys? Is Brees Hall getting traded? Is Quincy getting traded? What do you think?
I don't think and this is not because of the win. I was kind of on this stance last week. And really for the last like 3 weeks, honestly, since all these trade rumors have started coming up. Just keep all your talent. And that's what it looks like AG sounds like he wants to do at the podium today. Just keep all your talent, try to win as many games as you can, make the decisions after, even if it does technically yield you less of a return. I don't want to, because of the distrust right now in the regime, I don't want to give them an excuse to go back and say, hey, we didn't have Quinn Williams down the stretch. We didn't have Brees Hall in our offense, and we just couldn't put it all together. So I think we needed that second year to really prove to everybody that we can do this. I think just keeping all your talent in house and however the end result is, then you go evaluate everything at the end of it. So no, I don't necessarily think you should trade people. Maybe you can look at Michael Carter the second and try to flip him for a day 3 asset if they're willing to eat a little bit of the money. Obviously, the Jets, I'm saying, then you're probably getting a little bit more of a return than just like a 6th or 7th round pick. But if you can get a 6th round pick for Michael Carter the second, you probably do it, considering he lost his job to Brownlee, and it doesn't seem like they want to play him at safety. And then the other guy, and this was my hot take from I think 2 weeks ago on my channel, they should trade Sherwood and try to work on a lesser extension for Quincy Williams. And I think the disciplinary benching of the first quarter kind of leans in my favor. I still don't think they're going to do it, but I actually think that Quincy Williams is better for the long term of this defense, even though he's not younger and he doesn't have the upside. You can go get a quote Jamie and Sherwood replacement, in the draft way better than I think you can find somebody that gives you the juice and the intensity of a Quincy Williams. So maybe they try to do something with Jamie and Sherwood now that he's been benched, but it's tough. I don't really see an avenue where they're coming back with multiple top 3 picks or second round picks. Even like you're not getting the return you want on these guys, and you're going to be upset that Brees Hall yielded you a pick that is outside the top 160.
Yeah, and I think we sometimes overrate the. By the way, Daniel Lake, son's first game and got a win. That's freaking
Oh
awesome.
hell
So
yeah, that's
your son
awesome.
is the good luck ticket, man. So he's got to show up, and unless it's like unless we do need a loss for the tank, man, then he's got to stay home. We cannot play around with that. All right, so it's a week to week basis. But no, in all seriousness, man, it's really cool that he's undefeated. That's a pretty cool stadium. I like Cincinnati. I like the Midwest gets a bad rap, man. I've done a lot of drives from here to like Tennessee, and
Okay.
it's pretty cool going down like area through Cleveland, like through
Mm-hmm.
Lexington, and
What's that, like
you
8
know,
hours for you to get to Tennessee?
yeah, it's like 9.5. It's a super smooth drive.
Yeah. I'm making a
So
trip tomorrow. I'll be right on the border of Pigeon Forge. I'm going to Cherokee, North Carolina, which is about 2 hours for me. So I'm
nice.
like right there into Tennessee as well.
Yeah, Tennessee. It's when it gets cold here, it's like that's the most drivable place you could get to for like some sun. So sometimes you just go
Sure.
get in the car, go to Nashville for a weekend. But what the hell were we talking about? Oh, what were we talking about? I remember. Oh, trading these guys. So with
Yeah.
Quincy, here honestly, here's my hot take, dude. I wouldn't want to pay either of them, man. I love Quincy. I
Sure.
truly do. But Quincy has played elite football 1 year in his career, and it was going to be that was in 2022. Now we're heading into 2026, and that was with Quincy's big year was 2023. That was his All Pro year, right? So it's a couple years ago. He's going to be 30, and he did that under Bobby Saleh. Bobby Saleh is not here anymore. I honestly I don't even believe in paying linebackers unless you have Fred
Sure.
Warner. Unless you have Fred Warner, that's one of the easiest contracts to regret. Like the Bills, they tried to learn their lesson. They let Tremaine Edmonds walk. The Bears pay him, they regret it. And the Bills pay Bernard, who they benched last week. Unless you have a Fred Warner type dude, I'm not paying a linebacker $15 million. I would just draft one in the 4th round and go about your day. If they want to move off Sherwood and they're probably gonna have to eat some of the money and get a 5th round pick or whatever from Jeff Ulbrich, whatever you want to do, that's fine by me. If he keeps playing like this, that's fine. Quincy, I love because he's one of the few Jets that will actually make an impact play where you don't have to show like a PFF grade or a chart to try and pretend that he's good. Like you just see him making plays. But I'm not married. Like I'm not.
You're not married to the idea of keeping him.
I'm not married to him.
Yeah.
I'm not dying for the Jets to pay him $14 million a year and have a $30 million linebacker duo that has been getting gashed on a regular basis. Like I'm not watching these linebackers and thinking, oh my gosh, we have to keep them together. I really could lose both of them. Just to be non-emotional about it, I could lose both Sherwood and Quincy, and I would lose no sleep about it.
Yeah, then you have Kiko as your 5th round pick next year. You invest like a 3rd or a 4th round pick and a 6th round pick in linebacker.
Sign some middling $6 million guy.
You get the B tier, B- tier free agent.
Who is that guy Joe Douglas called up the day one of free agency a couple years ago?
Gerard Davis?
Yeah, what's he up to?
Probably sitting on the couch doing exactly what you and I are doing, watching the Monday night game. I think that's how you have to do it because it's just not a position of like premium value, right? And I understand, I'll kind of make the opposite argument for Breece Hall, but I also think Breece Hall has a direct impact on your rookie quarterback, so it makes it different. Normally, I probably wouldn't advocate to give a running back $11 million a year, but if you can get Breece back for 1 year, $11 million, or 2 years, $22 million, whatever that number ends up turning out to be, it's probably not going to be as high as Kyron Williams, but you have an impactful player standing next to your quarterback or right behind your quarterback who's going to be on a rookie deal. I think it makes sense. But linebacker, you can allocate, you can do the Salah with the safety thing and like allocate 7th round picks and UDFAs and like D-list free agents at the position at linebacker and probably come away with a formidable duo or trio with what you have instead of trying to do the $14 million a year guy for somebody who's going to get benched for disciplinary reasons in the first quarter of the 8th game and you're a captain. We almost saw 2 captains get benched this week, Kev. Fields almost got benched because the owner and his comments, and obviously they were going to make that switch to Tyrod Taylor. And then Jamie and Sherwood, you're one of your 2 defensive captains was benched. So it's like, what a crazy week for the Jets to come away with their first win.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have it any other way. For sure. Yeah, but I agree with you with Breece because I think the transition tag is like 11 million. If you could swing that, and then that kind of still keeps the pressure on him to be in a contract year, so you're still getting the most out of him. And he's on pace for like 1,600 scrimmage yards this year. He's averaging like 5 yards a clip. He's got 1 drop, 1 fumble. He's all of his analytics are awesome. So he's been a top 10 running back this year. Like there's no real other way.
And we're bitching about his usage. We're like bitching about his usage in most of these games. Like it needs to be more. And the output is still pretty special from him. So it's like, let's keep it going and see if he can actually be a building block for the rookie.
But then I agree. Like the putting a premium on building the effort out of the team for the quarterback. Like Ben Mateo says, like you said, you're a QB away. Like, dude, no, I haven't heard one single Jet fan say all we have to do is draft Fernando Mendoza and the team is going to be a Super Bowl contender. Like literally not one person has said that.
No.
But what we're saying is you like to see games where your offensive line and your offensive coordinator are probably the two biggest things that a young quarterback needs to be successful. You'd like to see games where those two components of your team are successful, because
Yep.
that's encouraging for next year. Obviously, you need a wide. They need, dude. They need even if you bring Brees back, they need two more veteran pass catchers before you
Hmm.
even get to the draft.
Hmm.
They need to call up Alec Pierce. They need to call up somebody like Noah. Like that was one of the spots of the offseason where it was kind of a bummer, because wide receiver is tough, man. Like you got to pay. Darius Slayton gets like 14 million a year, and it's like, geez, like you have to pay 15 million for wide receiver 3 level guys.
Hmm.
But there was some dudes at tight end who got like $8 million, where it's like, like Noah Fant has 25 catches and 3 touchdowns. That'd be kind of nice. So call up one
Hmm.
of those dudes, a tight end who could, catch 35 balls and a couple of touchdowns, and that's can bump Rucker down to tight end 3. Get an Alec Pierce that's a legitimate number 2 receiver, and then obviously let the draft come to you, but add another one via the draft. That way, like to me, Arian Smith should be competing to be the third receiver next year. He should not walk into next year being the third receiver, because that's a starting job, and he has not demonstrated that he's a starting player. And I look at
Hmm.
what the Bears did for Caleb Williams, who I don't even know if he's still good. Someone told me he looks like taller Kyler Murray, and I can't unsee it. I'm like, yeah, he kind of is tall Kyler Murray. But the Bears, they said, F it. We're trading for like 3 veteran offensive linemen. We have DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. We're drafting a tight end number 1. We already had a serviceable tight end. Like in Jet fan brain, like if we had Cole Kmet and someone said drafting another weapon, we'd be like, oh, how dare you disrespect Cole Kmet and
Yeah.
everything that he's done. And he's put us like, we gotta let that go.
Hmm.
We gotta let that go. Like these mid players or these young ascending players who haven't proven anything, it's not enough, because our projection never, like, it almost never works. You have to over invest. And they got Luther Bird in like the second round. Dude, the Bears are stacked to the gills. They got a
Hmm.
good offensive coach. So if Caleb Williams sucks a year from now, then he just sucks, and
It's on him. Yeah.
there's no debate about it. So that's what the Jets, as much as humanly possible, they should be able to make it like, oh, if this kid can't play,
Hmm.
that's on him, because that was not the case with Sam Darnold, and that was not the case with Zach Wilson. However we feel about them individually, that was not the case. We should try to make it the case.
And that's what realistically you're talking through all this with the Bears. That's exactly what the Colts tried to do for Anthony Richardson, right? They built their offense with a ton of weapons. They went out and got Tyler Warren. They obviously have Josh Downs. I know AD Mitchell has had his warts, and I think he's been benched. Um, they have Alec Pierce, who you already mentioned. Like they have Jonathan Taylor, who's already getting talked of like MVP, and he has more 3 touchdown games than the Jets did coming into Week 8. It's like truly ridiculous stuff. But then obviously Daniel Jones goes and is inserted into that situation. But it's like you have to give your passer, whoever it is, whether it's a rookie, a vet, Joe Flacco, like you have to give whoever it is as much weapons as possible. So like I will never be mad at the team for, like you said, you have Garrett Wilson at the top of your depth chart. You go get a rookie with pick, let's just say 34, because you're picking 2 overall now. So pick 34, you go get a wide receiver. We'll just say Denzel Boston from Washington. You go get a vet in free agency. And then you have Arian Smith, like you said, competing for that 3rd, maybe 4th wide receiver role. Like I don't care that Arian Smith was a 4th round pick, because if he's your 4th best wide receiver, that means that there's 3 probably pretty good wide receivers ahead of him. It's not like
Yeah.
this year where it's Garrett Wilson and then a huge drop off where it's like, is Arian Smith going to be our wide receiver 2 by season's end? It's like we want to give as many opportunities for this quarterback to succeed as possible, even if that means having an excessive amount of talent at wide receiver. I look at the Packers as well. They have so many offensive weapons for Jordan Love to figure out if he's the guy or not. And obviously I know that they've already paid him because of the way his contract was and
Right.
the overlap with Rodgers in that. But if he wants another contract from the Packers, like that's because he balled out with what was given to him. It's not like they depleted the talent around him and now he's struggling. So it's all about putting guys around your quarterback, young or old, in this league. So I can never get mad at that philosophy.
Yes, and it just goes to show that, like, you can just start being good, and then good things come to you and opportunities you didn't even think of. Like,
Yeah.
they walk because you just decide to be good. You just decide to be competent. Like God, what's his name in Indy? It's the Steichen, right?
Yeah, yep.
Steichen, like Shane Steichen, like he just goes there. He goes 500 with Minshew, Flacco, and Richardson. And if he would have sucked and won 3 games and then 4 games, you could have said, well, he had Minshew, Flacco, and Richardson. But he decided I'm just going to be competent. And then all of a sudden he gets Daniel Jones. And then all of a sudden they're all cooking up. And it's like, and Colts fans are saying, no, we should play Richardson. No, we should tank. Oh my God, Daniel Jones sucks. And now they're like, they might go to the damn Super Bowl, right? Because
Best team in the
they
AFC.
just decided to start walking. You don't have to know exactly where you're going. You
Yep.
don't have to have it all mapped up. You have to get up and start walking. And the Jets, you don't want to be crawling around like vomiting on yourself on the floor. Like that's not a prerequisite for success. Like that's why that's why like starting to win games, it's like, yes, that is good. You want to get up, start walking. You don't have to gain another 100 pounds before you start losing weight. You don't. You could just wake up and skip breakfast. It's insane that we think that. Like you have to go. Like people are like, well, you have to go 0-7. Dan Campbell, you have to go 0-1,000,000. I'm so sorry. It's like, no, you can just Shane Steichen it, decide to be good, and then good things happen to you. So that'd be good. Let's do that. And with Bill, yeah, dude, wide receivers, we're not writing off Arian Smith. What I'm saying is Arian Smith, whatever he gives you next year is almost going to be like a bonus, right? Like you could start as your number 4 receiver. If he plays his way into wide receiver 3, great. But the priority has to be that number 1 cornerback. So if Arian Smith is like the number 4 receiver and it's like, holy shit, we have 4 good receivers and we're light at linebacker, so be it. And we have the 19th best defense in the NFL. I don't care for next year. The only thing that matters is getting our franchise quarterback, because dude, it could have been Sam. Now I'm not saying if we would have kept him, it would have worked, because maybe he was already too ruined that he needed to be like cleansed. But if it was good off rip, it could have worked with Sam. And so let's not have that question in our minds.
Yeah, let's not do the Sam Darnold experience over again. Let's hopefully have a proper coach in place, have an adequate level of talent in place around him. And like you said, I will never be mad at any football team, really, not just the Jets, for investing more in their offense than in their defense when it comes to even like the upside swings. Like you don't need to go out and spend a ton of dollars on offense. And that's probably the least efficient path, if we're just being honest, unless it's an offensive lineman. Paying for offensive skill position players doesn't normally work. But if you're supplementing, your defense via like low level free agency and like back end of the draft, and then you're putting premium assets into your offense and taking those types of swings, I won't be mad if you end up getting a Mekhi Becton here or there, or an Elijah Moore here or there. Just don't make that the norm, right? Like go get your actual pieces, and then you can, afford to miss a couple here or there.
Agreed. Over invest there, man. It's just been too long. Now, my stance on the wide receiver thing is like, it's not a reason to be terrible, because like as you saw on Sunday, if your offensive line, your OC, your quarterback show up, you could score points and have a functioning offense in this league. But if you really want to be serious, like wide receiver 2, it used to be a very complementary thing where the volume with your running game and your wide receiver 1 was so high it didn't matter. But it's almost like left tackle, right tackle now. Like where if you have a terrible right tackle, your left tackle being really good doesn't do you much of anything,
Which
like
15 years ago you could get away with just having a good left tackle, and the right tackle was like, my friend and I used to argue all the time, what is more important? And this was like 10 years ago, a center or a right tackle. And for the longest time, I thought it was center. And like over the last maybe 6 years, it's definitely become more right tackle oriented. But like you could get away with having one good tackle in like yesterday's NFL.
Yeah, it was just like almost an extra guard. Like there were just run blocking maulers. It was like a completely different position, and now they're more interchangeable. And now, like, if you have a crappy right tackle, guess where Myles Garrett is lining up?
Myles Garrett Watt's going right over there. Yep.
They're not even going to put Micah Parsons. They're not even going to see your good left tackle over there. So it really takes away. Like you need both to increase the value of the one, is kind of the thing there. You're only as good as your Only as strong as weakest link. Jake Adams, what's up, man? Happy Victory Monday. Inject it into my veins. What's up, Jake? It was so funny. I saw people like, what's Jake Asman gonna say? I'm like, he's gonna be happy because the Jets won. Like he wants the
Right.
Jets to win.
Yep.
Like, I don't know, man. People are
We're all fanalists. Fanalist is the word that I
yeah.
like to use for us. We're obviously fans, but we analyze these games. And you have to know when to take the fan hat off and just analyze the team, whether it's shit, whether it's good, whatever it is, right? And I think, Jake does a good job of doing that. I would like to think I do a good job of doing that, but I think that's where a lot of us catch heat when we take the fan hat off. We just analyze what we see, whether it's good or bad, and we're never gonna win. We're never gonna make every single person happy in this world. So
Everyone seems happy in our chat so far. I don't know.
everything seems really good.
Yeah.
There's
Seems very kosher.
a couple in here, but they're mild today.
Yeah, no, it's never too egregious.
No,
We keep it light. And it's like at the end of the day, like, dude, it's the Jets. I mean,
it's
come
the
on.
Jets.
It's not,
Literally, come on.
it's not
We touch some grass.
let's not freak out too much about it. Glenn is gonna milk this win. Yeah, I think the response was a lot of mixed emotion with Mangold because it was like
Mhm.
I'm like, all right, guys, let's take it easy. We're still 1-7, but you want to enjoy the ones that you get for sure.
Yeah, I actually don't think he was that for what Aaron Glenn has showed us at the podium, especially during this loss, like this losing streak. That easily could have been, I told you so. We were on the board. Y'all didn't have faith and you
Right.
didn't stick with us. And like he had every opportunity to try to, big man this whole win. And
You
I
didn't
don't
do
think
that.
he did any of that. So actually I'm
No.
I'm gonna say it's the opposite. And I think for these next 2 weeks, and he mentioned it, and this is a Chris Sims of NBC line, it's self-scout thyself. Go into this 2-week period, reflect, do what you did right, and try to find a way to build on it, find the solutions for what you did wrong, and please come out and win against Cleveland. Like don't do this just to lay an egg against Cleveland.
Yeah, it felt like he could just take a breath. Like AG
Of
was like,
course.
"Holy shit, just got that one off your chest." And you're right, he didn't do any victory lapping. He was just like, "All right, one win. Let's go into the bye week," which was cool. Good way to play it
Mhm.
for sure. We'll close it. This one doesn't make sense if the Jets trade anyone. None of the poor players are worth anything. And we sure as hell don't want to be giving up 12 good players we have for draft gambles. Well, it depends. Like, I don't think like Quinnen, McDonald, JJ, I don't think you're going to get equal value. Like trading a
Mhm.
third for Will McDonald and everyone, look, obviously JSN is a crap ton better than Will McDonald. There's of course, if you could go back, you would change that draft pick. But go ahead and trade him to the Colts. Go ahead and trade him to the Colts and watch him close games in their playoff run. Well,
Mhm.
and you're saying he can't be good because yeah, if you plan on being crap, Will McDonald is of no use to you. If you're planning on being a terrible team that is just an open sieve in the middle, so quarterback's time to throw is nothing. Will McDonald has so many clean pass rush wins that have
Mhm.
gone to waste this year. So go and it's not all dude. He had 10 sacks and 65 pressures last year on a bad team and in his second year. So go ahead, trade Will McDonald to the Colts. He'll have he'll be a 13 sack and 67 pressure guy. And he'll have a terrible run grade on PFF, and they won't
Mhm.
care because he'll be closing games for them. So it's one of those things where was he worth the 15th overall pick? No, but he's still worth more than the third rounder that you would get for him. So at
Yep.
this point, you just keep him with Brees and guys like Quincy and that. If they're you talk to their agent, like, hey, do you want to be here? Like you can start. They're not on other teams. It's not tampering. Hey, it's the bye week. Talk about some money. Like, what is it? What do you think your market is? If you're way out of left field and Brees Hall is dead set on getting a 3-year, 40 million, like okay, then you take your fourth round pick and you
Mhm.
go about your day. There's a difference between shopping a guy and just like you have to be pragmatic. Like, if a guy's not going to be back, a mid round pick is more valuable than 8 games of them in a
Yeah.
season where you're not making the playoffs.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I have to go back and watch the all 22 because I do believe it was coverage based why he got the sack Will McDonald did in that fourth quarter.
Yes.
But you're in a neutral game script. And this is something I talked about on Jake's show last week. Will McDonald should not be traded from this team because he just has not been given the game scripts enough to go end those games, right? When you're down 3 points, down 7 points, up 3 points, up 7 points. It's a one-score game either way. Will McDonald will thrive for your defense because you can't just be one-dimensional. Okay, the Bengals are up, what was it, 31-16? They could have ran the ball every single play in that second half, and Will McDonald would have been rendered useless. But because the Jets kept it to within a score in the fourth quarter, they were able to pin their ears back on passing situations, and they were able to get home on Flacco. Like I said, it was probably a coverage sack anyway, but he looped all the way around from the right tackle all the way around and came off the left side on Joe Flacco. So it was a great play by him regardless, but you just don't see enough game script positive situations for Will McDonald. And I don't really want to part ways with him for pennies on the dollar until I feel like I've seen a large enough sample size of him getting those situations where he could pin his ears back and go. I think back to that game against Buffalo a couple of years ago where they were down one score at the very end of the game, and we sacked him with Bryce Huff on first down, and you knew the game was over off first down. Like, they didn't even need second, third, and fourth down to, tell you that the game was over because it was first and 18 or second and 18 after the sack. So it was like things like that. I want to see Will McDonald before I just trade him away for, again, maybe a top 70 pick. Like, if you're getting the top end of a third round pick, one, he's going to a bad team, so it's probably not likely. So you're getting a team with the aspirations of having a deep playoff run. So you're looking at the back half of any round that you're trading him to. So I'm not a fan of it. Just keep him, because whenever he has the situations right for him, and that's a team thing, not a him thing, he makes the most of his opportunities.
Yeah, and then people freak out like, "Oh, he's overrated." It's like, dude, then don't sell him low like that. He's had what, the 5 straight games without a sack. If he wasn't a fit for this defense, you traded him in the offseason and gotten maybe like, I don't know, maybe like you could have said, well, sent McDonald and a third or a fourth for a first rounder to a good team who just saw a second-year player have 10 sacks. Like, guys like him get $18 million a year in this league. So
yeah, he's overrated until he leaves the team for a 5th round pick, and then all of a sudden that team that acquired him is so smart and they got such a steal. It's like we can't say it both ways. Like, you have to pick a lane. That's like, it's the same people that are saying go tank, and now they're mad that the Jets won. It's like, you were asking for wins all season.
You gotta pick one. Yeah, Will and Brees are ones where the other team like is like, it's like, wow, the Jets didn't know how to use
the tweet comes down and the
guy.
Jets lose. That's what happens.
Yeah,
The tweet comes down that the trade is official, and the Jets immediately lose. It doesn't matter what the return is, because you're not getting blown away with a return package on these guys. So yeah, it wouldn't be a good look. There's not many good look trades the Jets could do that would signal they're still trying to win and still look toward the future, because the return is not what Jets fans think. And maybe that is us overrating the players or underrating the trade market and saying like, oh, we should get more for our players, whatever it is. But it's not always easy to be sellers at the deadline and think you're going to get back multiple top 120 picks.
Yeah, and my argument is more that I don't think you're going to get a lot more so than these guys are really good. Like, I just don't
exactly. It's more the return. Yeah.
A ton. I mean, maybe I would say Michael Carter, if you can get anything for him, because he looks done, and you have Jarvis Brownlee, who's a starter. So if you can get a 6th, 7th round pick slot from Michael Carter and get some cap relief, then do it. Quincy, I would say fine, unless he's going to, the problem is he'd probably go with like Salah or Ulbrich and be really good, but you can't, like, I don't know. Are you going to, that's one to me where I'd be more willing to let go, because I don't want to have two $15 million linebackers, where Brees is the guy we talked about, being an offensive weapon for your quarterback. And then that's really it. I mean, there might be some random player who, like, does Harrison Phillips want to do this again? Like, do you just double trade him, like, as a courtesy to him, get him up out of here, go somewhere that's a winner? But I'd like to have him back on the team next year, because he's making like no money and he's a decent defensive tackle.
It sounds like he wants to be here too. I would definitely try to keep.
He's being a good soldier.
Yeah, I would definitely like to keep Harrison Phillips as long as possible. Phil in the chat, he says, "Can we get a third for Brees after that performance?" I'll throw it to you. Would you take a 3rd round pick for Brees Hall, knowing that it's probably either the natural pick in the 3rd round of, let's just say, the Chiefs? So we're talking about a bottom, 8 pick in the 3rd round, or it's a compensatory 3rd round pick potentially. So you're talking about picks What's 32 times 3? 96. So you're talking about picks 97 to like 103 for Brees Hall?
No, if I could get a top 80 pick, well, you don't know the draft order, but if I can get what I'm confident to be a top 80 pick, I would trade him.
Okay, so like
Once you
middle to top end of third round.
yeah, I would trade him.
Yeah.
Because that if you have a good GM, that should be a starter.
Mhm.
That should be a starter. So I
That's
would
fair.
move him. But once you get towards like the 100th pick, I'd probably rather just keep him, especially if it could be for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, and it again massively helps your quarterback. Because then if you the thing is if you trade him, then you're probably like drafting a running back in like the 5th round, right? Anyway, so you're kind of dipping back from your draft capital again.
Yeah.
So
The biggest X factors to me are Justin Fields, rest of season, because can he be the backup so you're not wasting money to go spend on, like, if we're paying 4 quarterbacks next year, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields, Jacoby Brissett, and a rookie, to only have Jacoby Brissett
it'd
and the
be 80
rookie.
million, bro.
Exactly, right. So that's going to be a huge decision. And also, if you don't have to make that decision about quarterback and you could save that money on Jacoby Brissett, and I'm just using him because I know you used that name in your tweet, the Jacoby Brissett variant, then you could take that money and allocate that to Brees for 1 year, maybe 2 years, like you said, the transition tag, again, to help that rookie quarterback along, because I don't want to see a 5th round rookie next to a rookie quarterback in the backfield. I don't really love that. And I like Isaiah Davis and he's coming off a really good game, but I don't think he's worth being RB1 because I think Braylon's going to, he's not going to be 100%. And I understand he's probably going to be out for their whole year. So he has all off season as well, but you can't just bank on him being 100% Braylon Allen, who at times was still not playing as well as Isaiah Davis. So I think the quarterback financial situation is the biggest one that also impacts the Brees Hall decision. Because if you're not paying that variant at quarterback, you can afford to pay Brees.
Yeah. So let's not.
Vet variant was very hard to say.
Yeah. Hopefully Justin Fields playing well enough to not need a vet variant is a significant factor. Yeah. Because it's Rodgers 35 million next year. If Fields is cut, it's 22. So the Jets if Fields is cut, the Jets will be paying Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields like a combined 57 million to not be on their team next year. So
that's egregious.
Not a math guy, but that seems suboptimal. That seems suboptimal, man. By the way,
pay 10 million and then the rookie scale. It's like you're paying 14 million for the quarterbacks you have in-house and 57 for the 2 you don't have.
Oh, by the way, Tyrod has like a $2 million void year too.
Justin has a void year. Justin has a void year in 2028. It's sicko stuff. I don't agree with the contract whatsoever.
They all do it. All the GMs do it. Like once you get the quarterback figured out, all that stuff kind of falls into place. It doesn't really matter as much. But by the way, the Steelers are winning like 7 games this year. There's like 3 more wins off on their schedule. So everyone, all the bots in the comments who were like, Rodgers is going to win the Super Bowl, and you're going to see like, yeah, obviously he's better than Fields still, but he's going to be
the path is not so easy anymore.
Yeah, when he can't make the playoffs with Mike Tomlin after Duck Hodges and Kenny Pickett did, then you guys can go tell it to yourselves about his 80,000 gazillion $1 million cap hit, and now he can go sign Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And they're about to get boat raced by the Colts. They're going to win 7 games this year. The most fraudulent team I've ever seen. Like 6, the Patriots humbled 6 times, and then my post game team like, see, Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, the Patriots humbled 6 times. Aaron Rodgers had like 4 yards per attempt in that game. Like, Lord. The chickens are coming home to roost on that team.
You have to answer Jake's question before we get out of here because I'm very interested in the answer to it as well.
Okay. How do you determine which content creator to use in your tweets best running back? Well, I know who's gonna like Matt O'Leary is gonna be a good sport about it. So I always use Matt O'Leary because sometimes I don't know if like will this guy get offended by it. So Matt O'Leary is a good one, and then it's just a good combination. Like I'm like, okay, Matt O'Leary and Michael Nani, like that works good together. Harrison Glazer is just a funny, just like always a funny one to me.
Has me blocked on Twitter. We don't need to get into it.
Oh no, it's no good. Or what position we're playing. Like I think if it's like someone who is really small, like if I was gonna say like Matt O'Leary at edge, but like Matt O'Leary is like the size of an edge. So I'm like, let's make it funnier. Like make it like Connor, like make it a normal sized person playing edge. So you got to mix it up, but. It's now that we actually have some. Well, I'll say this, man. You know what's kind of interesting is Michael Clemens has looked not like the worst player in football the last
Mhm.
like month, and Max Mitchell comes in on those jumbo packages, and I'm like, we might have to make Max Mitchell the offensive Solly Thomas. He might need like a perpetual 1 year, $2 million deal. Keep that guy around. Now the thing is, if he had to start a game for Olu, I'm pretty sure he would be exposed in like a horrific fashion.
I mean,
But as
yeah.
that sixth guy, he looks kind of nice. It looks kind of nice in that jumbo role.
Yeah,
So
no, that's what it's all about, is finding that niche role for your mid to late round picks to make them look better than they do. Like he's not playing like a fourth round pick at left tackle full game. He's probably playing like a seventh round pick. But when you play him sparingly, the fourth round tackle looks kind of like a second round tackle, and he's making plays on the move, and he's getting out into space, and he's doing, solid things in the red zone. So yeah, it's all about finding a use for those guys. But the 2022 class as a whole, I wouldn't be surprised if all of them got, obviously Sauce and Garrett got paid. You give like a mini extension to Brees. You see what happens with JJ. And then you have Max Mitchell and Michael Clemens who can get a 1 year small deal.
his fan base is gonna riot if we re-sign Michael Clemens, but like I don't know,
100%.
He
1
who
year, 1 year, 1 million, 1 year, 1.2
yeah.
million. Like, who's really arguing? He's making $3 million right now.
I think the issue is like if Barron is not better than him by next
Sure.
year, and that's a guy you spent 2 5th round picks on, that's worth noting. But you're right, like dude, even if Max Mitchell can be a backup left tackle and Rucker can be tight end 3, and then Clemens is edge 4, like in combination with the 4 picks that you kind of crushed, that will be a pretty damn good draft for sure.
Dude, the Commanders just messed up. The kick returner tried to catch the ball on the fly.
Oh, I'm watching right now.
And he fumbled it, and it rolled out of bounds at the 1.
Okay,
like, don't give the Chiefs any easy opportunities, man. He knows it.
Oh, on a kickoff.
Yeah, on a kickoff. Yeah.
Oh, that was going out of bounds anyway.
I thought it rolled out of bounds naturally, and he was mad about it. I'm like, no, that's great. But then I saw he touched it. I think he's a rookie too. I think that's Jalen Lane. That's tough.
And this is Mariota, right?
Yeah. No Jaden Daniels, which I understand Jaden Daniels is hurt, but he hasn't looked great. Like,
no, a little bit of maybe
the tape is out on him a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of a sophomore slump. Maybe. I mean, look, I would take him on my team no matter what. But you know what?
Sure.
You know what does concern me a little bit about Dante Moore is the durability. Like watch with Jaden Daniels' frame. Like Jaden Daniels just looks like a normal dude that you would just see
His
at like
legs are skinny.
The Boys and Girls Club playing pickup basketball. Like, dude, I could take Jaden Daniels down on the block and then get some buckets, man. I could call Mouse and like I'm kind of fat right now, but I could I'm like 210 pounds. It's not a good looking 210 pounds. I could get some post buckets on Jaden Daniels. You don't want that in your quarterback. Like Justin,
no.
So some of these other guys like Ty Simpson, I'm not moving Ty Simpson off the block. All right. Fernando Mendoza, I wouldn't even get a shot off. So if I could score, that should be the test. If you give me like 4 chances, if I can get 1 post bucket on you, then you cannot be drafted as a quarterback in the first round.
What do you think about? You think you can get a bucket on John Mateer?
No, he's a dog.
He's got too much dog in him, right?
Yeah. No.
Yo, he's playing lockdown defense like Pat Beverly.
Yeah. No, dude, he would strap me, man. Mateer is he's all right. Let's not. Yeah, whatever. Mateer he's their offense though. That's what's.
It's actually crazy.
He's their best rushing threat. It's tough to know. Like, I don't know. I think there's a little bit of the Jackson Dart where it's like you're not an elite athlete by NFL standards, but you're still a viable rushing threat.
Yeah.
I don't know with Mateer. I think Sellers terrifies me. That's the one I'm really terrified of. I hope that they don't fall in love with his traits because, dude, he has all of Justin Fields' weaknesses, man. He has all of them.
He does. And that offense is not doing him any favors right now. It's really going to be interesting to see because I've seen him at the top of, Todd McShay's quarterback board. He had 1A and 1B was Dante Moore and Lenora Sellers. And I'm like, oh, that makes me really nervous because as much as I love the traits and I love the ability and I love his escapability in the pocket, Just give me a guy who plays with timing that can get to the back of his drop, understand leverage of the defense, throw the flat route when it's open, and just hit a guy in phase. Like don't make it a struggle. And I feel like sometimes Lenoris makes it a struggle. Yeah,
That's almost
it was almost a pick.
Yeah, the thing is, like, South Carolina's offense is such
It's so
trash
bad.
that it makes it a hard of Val. Where I'm like, I think Sellers is the kind of player where if the Jets don't draft him, he'll be very good, but if the Jets take him, he'll be very bad.
I want to see him go to the Senior Bowl. I want to see him go to the Senior Bowl because he's had 9 different offensive line starters, which is the most in the nation. So I want to see him with, high level competition over at the Senior Bowl, see if he can do well with 5 really good offensive linemen in front of him and some, not necessarily saying Shane Beamer's a bad coach, but I feel like if he gets like different types of coaching to see what happens to him, because a lot of people are saying go transfer. So I want to see what it would look like maybe outside of that environment.
I mean, it's all depends on what he'll know his. I mean, I'm seeing like guys like McShay and them say he's still a first rounder. So if he can be a first round pick, he'll just go and take his chances. But I think he is the type of player with his tools. If he did hit the portal and landed in a good spot, he could be like the 1-1 pick the following draft. So see what happens with him. I still like Mendoza or Simpson are 2 guys that I feel really would feel really comfortable with coming away with.
I almost want to see like, and I know Cade Klubnik has had his struggles in Clemson too, but I'm just trying to think locally. Like if Sellers wanted to stay in South Carolina, he could go to Clemson if Cade Klubnik comes out and he's running a much different offense under Garrett Riley, Lincoln Riley's younger brother. So like I would like to see him in like that style of offense, maybe like a more I guess pro ready offense. But Shane Beamer doesn't run like his offense in South Carolina is not terrible. I feel like the environment around him is just kind of run stale.
And the offensive line is trash. Like at least from what I've seen.
So bad.
Offensive line is very bad. But leave it there. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you want to hit the thumbs up on your way out, that'd be cool. And we'll talk Jets a week from now.